Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia, and welcome, Conscious Warriors. I'm grateful to be here with you today on this beautiful day. Welcome to Hump Day. It's great to be here. It's all a downhill run to the weekend. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Say g'day. And if you're here for the umpteenth time, it's great to have you back. It's been a bit of a uphill, downhill couple of days, but we're getting there. I wanted to share with you some information this morning about boundaries that is a different way of looking at them, and it's not the perspective of how am I going to keep people out. It's about what do I need, and how are we going to recognize that other people have boundaries and ask questions about whether they're actually using their boundaries or not. And when we think about it like that, then it becomes easier for us to go, well, I need to have my boundaries whether or not the other person is instituting theirs. Now, so how do we do this? How do we turn it around so that we make boundaries a positive effect in our life? So first of all, we understand what we need. This happened when Chloe, I really haven't got a train of thought this morning, have I? This happened when I was talking to Chloe's now husband, and I said to him, how did you know that Chloe was the one that you wanted to marry? And he said, because I know what I need. And I sat back and I went, now that's really different way of looking at it. If I say, what do I need, then I'm going to be able to say yes or no to whomever or whatever situation comes into my life. So when I began to look at what I need, instead of being a people pleaser, which is the opposite, because that's what we do, we people please. Well, a lot of us do. Then it becomes a whole different kettle of fish, and actually saying no to people becomes easier because we say, that's not what I need. So, for example, I'm somebody who communicates a lot, okay? More than the average person, I think deeper. I really think things through and about the bigger picture. But I need somebody, if I was to have somebody in my life and I ask the question, what do I need? Then now I'm aware that I need somebody who communicates well too. Okay, they've got to be a good listener. We all have to be good listeners. But having somebody come into my life who doesn't communicate would drive me nuts. Now, I'm no angel. I'm no expert. A good friend of mine said that to me because I went to him and I asked a question about men, because when you've had failed marriages, it's like, I need to know what it is I've done wrong or where I need to improve or what it is I need to know that I don't know. And he said to me, you communicate. And if you're with somebody who doesn't communicate, it will drive you nuts. And I went, oh, you're not wrong. That's what it is. And it does. If somebody's not listening or actively communicating, and that's non-verbal and verbal, then it leaves me in this quandary of, well, what do you say? There's no feedback. And how do you have a relationship with somebody who doesn't communicate? So that is being able to identify what I need in order that if somebody comes along and they don't communicate, as much as it hurts me to say, look, I'm sorry, but, we're not going to get along in that way, I have to be willing to do that, because if I'm not willing to do that, then I'm setting myself up and the other person up for a future disaster, okay? And so this is why we have to be conscious of our choices and conscious of our needs, because then we're not setting either myself or that person up for a long-term disaster down the road, okay? So what is it that you need, not just in relationships, but in work? So the same applies to work. If I got offered a job, let me think. If I got offered a job as a groundskeeper, okay, one of my other best friends and I were discussing this on the weekend. He said to me, you know, I love what you do. And I said, yeah, but I love and appreciate what you do because I couldn't do it. If you asked me to go and become a gardener, a groundskeeper, or anything in that nature, can I just say I really suck at it? I am. I have no clue at all. And people in that industry will say, yeah, but it looks like you just do, and it's not that simple. You don't just get out and push a mower or pull weeds. You've got to have a lot of knowledge that goes with that in order that you do it well. So I said to him, I can't do that. It's just not going to happen. So we each need to know, if you got offered a job in a different industry, would you be able to do that? And even if it's for twice the salary on, you need to know what you need in order that you don't set yourself up for a long-term disaster by saying yes when you really needed to know your needs and say no. Okay, that was a long explanation, but I hope it makes sense how important it is to know ourselves and what our needs are. We also understand that other people have boundaries. And when other people have boundaries, we need to be prepared that sometimes we can be wrong, sometimes we need to apologise, and we need to learn about what their boundaries are. And look, this can even happen in a client situation. I'll have clients say to me, look, that doesn't feel right to me, this is what happened for me in this situation, etc. And I'm all ears. I want to learn, I want to understand what their needs are, what their boundaries are. So when you're in a mutual relationship, it's a to and fro, and the other person is actually listening to what you need. They're not assuming that they know what you need. So be very, very careful. You are authentic and transparent. So when somebody asks you a question, they know that they'll get the truth from you. And it's not the truth, oh, it's the truth in this moment and it changes down the track. It's this is what's very real for me here and now. And often that side of us, there's two sides to this actually. One side is, I know for me, when I came out of my childhood, like telling me a lie is the worst thing you can ever do. I believe that we can navigate anything with communication. We can navigate mistakes. We can navigate, well, just anything that happens in day-to-day life, we can navigate it. But if you lie, then it's like the worst thing in the world, because how do we navigate that? How do we work through and understand what we need to know? How do we make amends? There's a whole list of hows, let's face it, when a lie happens. How do we deal with the emotional fallout? Okay, because if someone tells a lie, it eventually comes out. We all know this. So be authentic, and being authentic and transparent does cost you, okay? Because some people don't like it when you are authentic and transparent because it pushes their buttons, okay? They have moments where they have to go and self-reflect. So continue to be authentic, continue to be transparent. Oh, remember though, your safety circles where, you know, you're fully transparent with the first three people around you that are your best friends and they know and love you, warts and all, okay? And if people can't love you, warts and all, they're not your top three people that you're going to go to and share your life with. And the next circle of people, 10 to 12 people, they know you fairly well. They're part of your life, and you're transparent with them. But transparency doesn't mean we tell everyone everything about every part of our life, okay? That would just be draining, all right? So we're aware that as somebody comes into our life, each level of transparency that we're prepared to have with them. Me, because of my nature, I'm just transparent, full stop. but I don't share the deeper heart emotions with just everybody and anybody. But that's been a learning process too. You want to share with people who really do care about your heart, all right? And they're not just verbal, they're going to say, right, yeah, I can see that this is what's happening for you. And you want people to be successful in a relationship with you, okay? So you're going to be transparent and authentic about what your needs are, what you want, where your boundaries are, and it can be a learning space when you have new people come into your life as well. But have courage, all right? It's better to be authentic and transparent and it to cost at the beginning of the relationship or to lose the job or whatever. But then as you gather that courage and you continue to put those boundaries in place because of what your needs are, then better things do come along. And I've experienced that happen continually. And especially for me in the area of relationships where I've had to learn so much because with complex trauma, if you've like me, we learnt nothing about healthy relationships in our childhood. And so it's been a whole learning process. And I encourage you to go through the learning process because then you do have good quality people in your life. And I'm lucky, well, I'm fortunate, not lucky. Lucky implies that it's something that just fell out of the sky. It's not. It's work that we put in and consciously choose that when things are going awry, that we go, right, what is it I need to learn? Do I need to go and speak to someone and say, have I upset you? And it's through this channel of communication that we begin to understand what we do need to know and what we don't need to know. All right? It's like having a board game in front of you, and sometimes you get sent back 3 spaces. But when you get sent back 3 spaces, it's not about going backwards. It's about being able to step back and look at the bigger picture so that you can see how to move forward more effectively. All right? You know that other people are capable of setting boundaries and knowing their own needs. So one of the greatest challenges of being a people pleaser is that we do a lot of assuming that we know what people need. And even if we can see what someone needs and they can't see it, we need to stop doing that. Okay? We need to let people have their own journey, and it's a need in us, that we need to step back and let them work through their stuff. And one of the biggest things for me in this has been with my son, who suffers with mental health deeply. And it's been a gradual process till he reached a space where he says, I really do need help. So we can walk beside someone as they're going through tough times, but ultimately people will make their own decision in their own time, and we have to honour that. We can still keep communicating though. We don't assume to know other people's needs, and we let them make their own choices, which basically I've just talked about. Letting someone make their own choice is a very adult thing to do, because it requires of us to go, right, it doesn't matter what I know or what I can see is in somebody else's life that would make their life better, unless I'm asked, or unless I know that person that to the degree that I can say, I can see something, what do you think about this? Then we need to learn to say nothing, to keep our own counsel, because there's always parts of our life that we can't see that other people can. And we have people in our lives that can speak into our life and go, right, what about this? What about that? And sometimes it's like a dance, and we'll go off to this side and we'll go, does that work for me? Does that not work for me? And as we go back and forth and we research and we find out the dynamics and we begin to understand our internal process as well. How do I make the decisions? How am I going to put the boundaries in place? What do I need to do? How do I need to say this? How do I want to approach it? when we ask ourselves questions, we come up with better answers than our past behaviour. Trust me. We all make beautiful messes along the way, and then we get to come through it and live in our beautiful mess with lots and lots of beautiful people. So if you want to join in life like that with all of us in our Facebook group, feel welcome to do so, and we'll be your greatest cheer squad through it all. Okay, I hope I've given you some things to think about around your needs, your boundaries, other people's boundaries, and where you need to stop people pleasing so that other people can have their journey too. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.